ॐ विश्वं दर्पण दृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ वर्स् 33 अवच्छेदः कल्पितः स्यात् अवच्छेद्यं तु वास्तवं तस्मिन् जीवत्वमारोपात् ब्रह्मत्वं तु स्वभावतः. So from 32nd verse up to the 46th, almost the end, the author is now summarizing this entire Vedantic teaching in a little different way. So as such, Drsya Viveka is also Vedantic teaching. But then that is little different. That's the title also of the book, Drsya Viveka. So up to first verse 30. This is all a one type of a text. I mean Vedantic teaching in one way. And now 31st is just another thing. And then 32nd, up to 31 it is all up to Nidhyasanam is one type of text. Then from 33 onwards, now this Vedantic teaching has been presented in a little different manner. So previously in that Drsya Viveka we talked about three drishtas, right? And so three drishyam. So three drishyam. And now here also in this a different style of Vedantic teaching, here also three jivas have been mentioned. And that is Paramarthika jiva, Vyavaharika jiva and Pratibhasika jiva. Very interesting way of teaching. And Paramarthika jiva means, Paramartha. So that is consciousness, which obtains, and then Vyavaharika jiva, which obtains in the body-mind sense complex. The Paramarthika jiva obtains in the body-mind sense complex, but basically we take it as consciousness. Like the space obtaining in the pot, etc. The space obtains in the pot, remaining the all-pervading space. That's how. So the all-pervading consciousness obtained in the body-mind sense complex, because the word jiva is there. That's how we have to say that. Otherwise you can mention as Brahman. Why we should mention jiva? Right? We should mention all-pervading consciousness. But then you cannot call jiva, Paramarthika jiva, means then it obtains somewhere. So like all-pervading space obtains in a pot, appears as a pot space. The space enclosed in the pot. So that way it appears like a consciousness, all-pervading consciousness obtaining in body-mind sense complex, like an enclosed consciousness. Now, that's how jiva. But it remains basically space. Therefore, it is Paramarthika jiva. Just really means Brahman remaining Brahman obtaining this body-mind sense complex. It's like a pot. And this jiva is called consciousness, Paramarthika jiva. because it is Satyam. That's a Satyam, all-pervading consciousness. And this enclosedness seems to be limited by the enclosure, body, mind, sense complex that is limited, so it appears limited. Limitation is very seeming limitation. So space basically cannot be, because what happens is once you say that the consciousness obtaining in the body, mind, sense complex, well, that is what obtains in the body, mind, sense complex is one. What obtains outside the body, mind, sense complex is another. Space obtaining in the part is one, called Ghatakasha, and the space obtaining outside the part, Mahakasha. So there are two spaces. Two spaces, if you want to accept, then in that case you have to accept that the space is divisible. That's the only thing. When you say there are two spaces, then definitely space is divided. Now, means as though the wall of the pot has divided the space into two, Mahakasha, Ghatakasha. But since the space is indivisible, yet the space obtaining in the pot, enclosed in the pot, appears limited, well, that limitation is not real limitation. If space is divided, then the space obtaining in the pot is really a limited space, But that's not the case. Please understand this way. Avachedavada is also very helpful. In Panchadashi, of course, we are now glorifying Abhasavada, but Avachedavada has its own advantage and we should understand very well. And so, the body-mind-sense complex basically cannot divide the all-pervading consciousness, because the consciousness is indivisible. Why indivisible? I have given reason before. What is divisible must have a parts. The thing which does not have a part, what is partless, cannot be divided. And therefore, well, then the consciousness obtaining in the body, mind, sense complex looks a limited consciousness, but it is not limited. So basically, and body, mind, sense complex, this is a limitation of an example, frankly speaking. Part, space and all, really it is not really applicable in Vedanta. Why? The part and the space both are of the same reality, and therefore still it is a part space is really not there, we say. Then what to talk about? The body, mind, sense complex, which we compare like a pot, and the consciousness which we compare as a space. Body, mind, sense complex is of a lesser order of reality. It is mithya. And therefore, the consciousness obtaining in the body, mind, sense complex is automatically mithya. And therefore, there is nothing called consciousness obtaining in the body, mind, sense complex, frankly speaking. All the body, mind, sense complexes are just projected in consciousness. There is nothing called consciousness obtaining in the body, really. There is nothing like that. All the body, mind, sense complexes exist and illumined in one consciousness. That's it. They exist in one consciousness. In fact, consciousness alone appears as all the body, mind, sense complex. Right? Consciousness alone appears. So consciousness appears, please understand, appears. Consciousness, body, mind, sense complex is consciousness. But consciousness appears as body-mind sense complex. Consciousness is not body-mind sense complex. Body-mind sense complex, every body, every thought, every mind, every prana, every cell is consciousness. But consciousness is not a thought, consciousness is not a mind, consciousness is not a body, consciousness is not a prana, pana, vyana. Consciousness is not a cell. Cell is consciousness. Consciousness is not thought. Thought is consciousness. Therefore, your thought of anger thought, lust thought, compassion thought, depression thought are all consciousness. But consciousness is not anger thought. Otherwise you will say consciousness means I am angry is a reality. No. It's not reality. Greed is consciousness. But consciousness is not greed. Consciousness appears. But why consciousness should appear? Because consciousness is all the time associated with Maya, Mithya Maya. And therefore it appears in all these Mithya forms. All Mithya thoughts. Just projected. So that way, body, mind, sense complex itself is a product of Maya. Maya is Mithya, body, mind, sense complex is Mithya. Therefore consciousness all appears in body, mind, sense complex is Mithya. There is nothing called consciousness obtains. So that's how, well, if you say consciousness obtains in body, mind, sense complex, if you say that, and therefore appears limited, jiva, but still it is paramarthika. Paramarthika jiva. Because this, how will it go together? Paramarthika jiva. Anyway, so enclosed consciousness is basically Brahman, all-pervading consciousness. So the same consciousness, well, manifest in the mind, definitely, as the mind emerges from the consciousness, has a manifestation of consciousness. And that manifestation in the mind. So from the mind standpoint, consciousness appears limited, which is a reflection of the consciousness actually. The Chidabhasa appears limited. Has a limitation, that's how we call jiva, but actually it is just a Chidabhasa. The very mind is mithya, and therefore the Chidabhasa is mithya, and therefore it is basically, it is just consciousness, all-pervading consciousness alone. Consciousness has not become limited at all. So anyway, so here author says, well, because of the proximity of this consciousness and the reflected consciousness, we commit basically a mistake of falsely transferring the limitation of the reflected consciousness to the original consciousness. That's it. Because they are non-separate. The very mind is non-separate from the consciousness. Mind is a projection of consciousness. Our consciousness through Maya appears as a mind. And therefore then it basically manifests also in the mind. Right? So basically this consciousness, well, yeah, and the reflection, the mind, everything is non-separate. So reflected consciousness and consciousness are basically non-separate. Reflected consciousness is non-separate from the original consciousness. So, due to ignorance, rather than claiming I am an original consciousness or the consciousness, all-pervading consciousness, I commit a mistake of claiming the reflected consciousness, the Chidabhasa, the Ahankara, the Jiva is my reality. But frankly speaking, I am original consciousness, all-pervading consciousness. Anyway, so this Paramarthika Jiva is given a limitation that it doesn't have, and this limitation alone is called Jivatvam. So that's how it said, Jivatvam Aropat. Aropa. It's a projection, Adhyasa, superimposition due to two things: ignorance of my own nature, that I am all pervading consciousness, and second thing is because all the things are non-separate from me, the mind itself is non-separate from me, the manifestation in the mind, the reflection in the mind, Chidabhasa is non-separate from me. Since Chidabhasa and Chit are just together, Chidabhasa is non-separate from the Chit. Rather than claiming I am original consciousness or all-pervading consciousness, I claim Chidabhasa is myself. I claim myself as an individual. That's it, nothing else. So, basically the Jivatvam of this Chidabhasa, etc., is falsely transferred to the all-pervading consciousness. So this is Paramarthika Jiva. So Paramarthika Jiva means what? Consciousness manifests in the mind as a Chidabhasa, but it is not limited as Chidabhasa. Even though I manifest in the mind, and since the mind is limited, I appear as a limited consciousness, and because I don't know that I am all-pervading consciousness. So where I manifest, I take myself to be that. This is Paramarthika Jiva. Well, similarly, the Chidabhasa of this Viveka, this Vyavarika Jiva, well then projects a dream individual, which is definitely, so dream body mind sense complex. Now in that there is a Chidabhasa, right? And then that reflected consciousness belong to this dream body mind sense complex is called Pratibhasika Jiva. So Paramarthika Jiva appears as a Vyavarika Jiva because you take yourself to be a Chidabhasa of this body mind sense complex called Vyavarika Jiva. Really speaking, you are consciousness, Paramarthika Jiva. You are not limited at all. Like the pot space, the space is not limited by the walls of the pot. You understand it as all-pervading space. That's called Paramarthika Avakashaha, Akashaha. Then, well, pot space, as such, if you take, that's a Vyavarika Akasha. Like that, if you want to say. But really speaking here, the body mind sense complex, well, what manifest consciousness manifests in this body mind sense complex, well, and you take it that way. Well, due to Avarana Shakti of Maya, we have done all this. So this is called Vyavarika Jiva. Originally, really speaking, it is Paramarthika Jiva, consciousness. Now this Vyavarika Jiva, the Viveka, let us say, right, projects another body mind sense complex like this in a dream. And then that also becomes conscious. Dreamer. And then experiencing the dream world. So that one, that Chidabhasa, which appears in the dream body mind sense complex, that Chidabhasa is called Pratibhasika Jiva. So this is Vyavarika Jiva, that is Pratibhasika Jiva. But frankly speaking, if you analyze this Vyavarika Jiva, you are Paramarthika Jiva, consciousness. So this reflected consciousness, Chidabhasa belonging to the dream body mind sense complex is called, well, is Pratibhasika Jiva. That experiences the dream world. Vyavarika Jiva experiences Vyavarika world as a Viveka, etc. So thus these three layers. The first is consciousness, all-pervading consciousness, Paramarthika Jiva, which does not have any universe, which does not experience anything, really speaking. And upon that consciousness, the Vyavarika Jiva, reflected consciousness, is, well, associated with the Viveka's body mind sense complex, which is identified, and then experiences the Viveka's universe. So Vyavarika Jiva goes through this Vyavarika body experiences. That is Vyavarika universe. And this is second layer. First is original consciousness, Paramarthika Jiva. Then this is Vyavarika Jiva. And then when this Vyavarika Jiva projects another body mind sense complex, like this, of course, dreams. A second reflected consciousness is obtained, and this Pratibhasika Jiva experiences the dream universe through the dream body. So actually Vyavarika Jiva means this waker. Pratibhasika Jiva, the dreamer. And frankly speaking, I am Paramarthika Jiva. Appear in the body mind sense complex. That's how Jiva. But then frankly speaking, it's like a pot space. I'm all pervading consciousness, Paramarthika. So Paramarthika Jiva, of course, is not associated with any body, is not associated with any universe, because there is no universe. From Paramarthika Jiva's standpoint, really speaking, there is no universe. That is just itself, nothing else. So there is no duality at all. There is only Advaita, non-duality. And in deep sleep state, of course, both Vyavarika and Pratibhasika bodies are resolved, and so respective universes also will not be experienced. In this state, we are in our original nature, this Paramarthika Jiva. So you can divide in three states like that. Waking state, then Vyavarika Jiva, experiencing Vyavarika world, waking world. And then Pratibhasika Jiva, experiencing Pratibhasika world, the dreamer and the dream world. And in deep sleep state, when both resolve, because the very medium of manifestation dissolves, very pot is broken. Where is the question of now part space? So what obtains in a deep sleep state is this Paramarthika Jiva. Anyway, so we are in our original nature, Paramarthika Jiva. But we don't know it, of course. But then Shastra teaches that you are neither a Paramarthika Jiva nor a Pratibhasika Jiva, but you are Paramarthika Jiva. So when a Jnani says I am Brahman, then I refers to Paramarthika Jiva. And now further has been said in verse 34. Avachinnasya jivasya purnena brahmanaikatam tattamasya adivakyani jagurnetara jivayoho. Very interesting way has been said here. So I am consciousness, all-pervading consciousness, and when the mind comes, and then definitely mind comes along with the reflection of me. As the mind emerges from me, it emerges with the Chidabhasa. We know this. It's a reflection. And that reflection is a limited, temporary entity. If the mind is not present, the reflection also will be absent. Then the consciousness, continue. Because I am existence, and therefore I continue. Even the reflection is there, the original will be there naturally. And if reflection is not there, medium is resolved, then still I continue. So that's how the Chit consciousness is basically Sat. The self-existent consciousness is called Sat. Self-existent. It exists on its own. There is no cause for the existence of me as a consciousness. The consciousness exist because I exist. There is no cause. There is no cause. No, because you exist because somebody establishes your existence. Okay. Who establishes your existence? Please tell me. Who establishes the existence of I? You can definitely establish the existence of the body. You can definitely establish the existence of the thought. You can establish the existence of the mind. You can establish the existence of your senses. You can establish the existence of all the thoughts, sense thoughts. You can establish the existence of prana. You can establish the existence of everything. What is required to establish the existence of everything is consciousness. Doesn't need anything to establish its existence. I exist because my mind sees. No, I exist because my eyes see. No, In fact, before your eyes see, you exist. Before your mind starts thinking, you exist. Before you recollect anything, you exist. Before you do make any decision, you exist. No pramana establishes the existence of I. Then therefore I am non-existent. To say I am non-existence, you are existing. It is self-existence. Self-existence means the existence is the nature of the self. So basically, other than I, the non-I require definitely I to establish the existence. Without consciousness, you cannot establish existence. So everything is revealed to you actually. And I reveal myself. Self-revealing, self-existent, self-existent, self-revealing. And therefore, existence is my nature. So whether the mind is there, I manifest. Vyavarika jiva. Okay. Whether mind exists, or whether mind resolves, still I exist. Because I am existence. That's how you can take the example of a deep sleep state. Anyway, so this consciousness, all-pervading consciousness, of course, cannot be seen. Just as our original face cannot be seen. But however, the existence of the original consciousness, cannot be doubted also. Like the very fact that there is a reflection of the face in the mirror proves automatically the existence of the original face. You don't require. And therefore, and as such also, consciousness cannot be seen because it is in the form of I. And therefore, anyway, so, since I cannot see this original consciousness, and all the instruments of knowledge are meant to see the non-I, the matter, the anatma, the only instrument to know about me that I am all-pervading consciousness is Mahavakya alone. Mahavakya alone, which is a means of knowledge, reveals the I as all-pervading consciousness, like through Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, etc. So, this Paramarthika Jiva, I, basically is this Brahman, all-pervading Brahman. And so, I am normally not able to accept this teaching if I use the word either for a Vyavarika Jiva, the waker, or I use the word I for a dreamer. If you take it as a reality, this equation doesn't make sense. But learning to look at this Vakya from the viewpoint of a Paramarthika Jiva, that I manifest in the body mind sense complex, but I am basically original consciousness or all pervading consciousness, then I am Brahman is easy to understand. Anyway, so for the other two jivas, Pratibhasika and Vyavarika Jiva, this oneness with the Brahman is not talked about by the Shastra. You have to say it is Mithya. That's what we did in Panchadashi also. So, so there is a Samanadikaranyam, of course. I'm reminding right now. There is a Samanadikaranyam in Mahavakya. Now here, Aham Brahmasmi, if you take the meaning of the word Aham as a Vyavarika Jiva, then cannot be equated with the Brahman. Aham is equal to Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham is equal to Brahman. Cannot. Then you have to do what? To make it a really that Aham and Brahman, both indicating one thing, Samanadikaranam. Word Aham and word Brahman reveal one thing alone. To say that, you have to drop the meaning of the word Aham as a Vyavarika Jiva or a Pratibhasika Jiva. Generally, Pratibhasika Jiva we don't, but Vyavarika Jiva. I am an individual, waker, etc. You have to drop. Then only you can establish that oneness between the two. That we call it as a Bhada Samanadikaranyam. That we did also. Anyway, and now verse number 35. ब्रह्मण्यवस्थिता माया विक्षेपावृत्तिरूपिणी आवृत्त्या खण्डतां तस्मिन् जगज्जीवौ प्रकल्पयेत्. So the author has talked about this Paramarthik Jiva I, which is identical with infinite Brahman, through the pramana, through the means of knowledge called Mahavakya. Now author is now explaining how this Vyavarika Jiva and this Pratibhasika Jiva arise from Brahman, or Paramarthika Jiva, you can say. Let us imagine a state in which this Vyavarika and Pratibhasika are not present, but this non-dual Brahman, Advitiyam Brahma, alone is present. Let's just imagine. In other words, I, the Paramarthika Jiva alone is present, let us say. And then as a Paramarthika Jiva, as a Brahman, as an all-pervading consciousness, I have a special power also called Maya Shakti. And this Shakti is twofold. We have seen that before also. One is this projection power and the other is a concealing power, Vikshepa Shakti and Avarana Shakti. So using my projecting power, I project a dream upon myself. Understand the waking world now, because it's a projection. So the Vikshepa means a projecting power, means I project. So I use the word dream, which is waking world, of course. And waking body means this Vyavarika body, empirical body, mind, sense complex. So I project a dream upon myself, means this physical body and the physical universe are a dream projected upon me, the Paramarthika Jiva, the Brahman. Through what? Through Maya, or through the projecting power of Maya. And for the sake of experiencing this dream, this waking world, I identified with this dream body called Vyavarika body called and the Vyavarika Chidabhasa also will be there, and then I become a Vyavarika Jiva, and then I experience this waking world, which is a dream universe. Waking world, but dream universe, but because projection. And once the dream is entered into, the fact that the dream is a dream is forgotten. That's what is happening. Once the waker enters into the dream world, means when the waker becomes a dreamer, he forgets that I am a dreamer, etc. I am a waker, etc. So a dreamer will never accept the dream as a dream while in a dream, naturally. So dreamer does not know the waker, his higher nature. Because of my concealing power, of course, Maya, I, the Paramarthika Jiva, forget my Paramarthika status, and the world projected by me gains a higher degree of reality. So I do this with the help of my Maya Shakti. It's a projecting power. So dream, this world which is it's a projection. That's why I call dream, and this body mind sense complex also I project through Maya Shakti, through projecting power. So that is a dream body mind sense complex. And then I enter into that. I, the Paramarthik Jiva, enter into that. Means identify with this. Becomes a Vyavarika Jiva. And then experiences this Vyavarika world. So this is the first dream. And then the second dream will be further as a Vyavarika Jiva, as a waker, I further project another body mind sense complex. And also the dream world also I project. And then I the waker, identified with that body mind sense complex, and becomes a Pratibhasika Jiva and experiencing the dream world, Pratibhasika world. So this is how the things are. I'm stopping at this point because too much of congestion is there. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.